Hi everyone! Today I'm going to be making a homemade shepherd's pie. So I have started with cooking my ground beef. So I fried it in a pan, and now I'm going to strain it, and I'm going to add our cooked ground beef into a large size bowl, and then I'm going to add all the ingredients for our bake. So let's get started. I'm going to strain out my cooked ground beef, and then I'm going to keep the juice from the ground beef, and I'm going to create a gravy for that. So once the shepherd pie is completely cooked, it's nice to have a nice gravy that can go on top. So we're just going to continue straining out the ground beef. Now that we have strained out the ground beef, we're now ready to start adding in our next ingredients. So I've chopped up half of an onion into a small size cube. I'm going to add some chopped garlic, so it's as well chopped quite small. You can use minced if you like. I've used a few cloves, and I just chopped them up into small little cubes. I'm going to be adding some mushrooms, and I'm going to save my other half of mushrooms for the gravy. I'm going to add some corn. I'm going to add some peppers, so some orange sweet peppers. I've grated some carrots. Now you can also make your carrots cubed, but my suggestion is if you can pre-cook them halfway so that it doesn't take as long to cook inside of the shepherd's pie. So we're going to use some shredded carrots. We have some tomato sauce. I have some beef bouillon. So I just diluted it with some water. You can use beef broth, it's already made. I'm going to be using some Worcestershire sauce. And now we're going to put some spices into the ingredients that we put in so far. So we have some black pepper. I have some dried basil. Some dried rosemary. And some salt. So now we have all the ingredients that we put in so far for our beef filling for our shepherd's pie, and I'm just going to mix everything nicely together. And now I'm going to add a bit of flour just to thicken the gravy that's inside of the filling. So we're just going to add a bit of the flour just to thicken it up a bit, and then we're now going to mix this around. And once we have it fully mixed, we're going to start straining it and filling it into our container that we're going to put into the oven. We have a fair size glass container that is oven safe, and we're going to now scoop up the filling for our shepherd's pie. So we're going to as well save the juice from this. We're going to put a little bit into it so that it doesn't dry out, but we're going to keep a lot of the juice that this has created for the gravy that we're going to put on top of the shepherd's pie once it's cooked. We're going to add this to the juice that we got from the grilling of the beef, and then now we're just going to use the seasoning juice that we got from the filling. So we're just going to line our bottom. Now you can use a large size pan. I think what I'm going to do is make two separate shepherd's pies. We're going to have one for dinner today, and then what I'll do is I will cook the other one halfway and then freeze it, and then I can easily heat it up for the future. So what we're going to do is we're just going to continue filling the base of this pan. Now that I have the first layer of the shepherd's pie all complete, put inside of my glass container, I'm now going to prepare my potatoes. So I have peeled and cubed about 4 to 5 potatoes, and I made sure that they are nicely boiled, and they are, I believe they're soft, yep, and they're soft all the way through. And so now I'm going to add a couple of ingredients into the potatoes, and I'm going to mash them, and then I'm going to layer the top of this filling with some mashed potatoes. All right, so we're going to add some butter. We're going to add some sour cream. And then I'm going to add some 5% light cream on top. You can also use milk. I'm going to be putting some light cream. And then now I'm going to mash it, and then I'm going to be layering the top of this filling. So I now finished mashing my potatoes with the ingredients that I put inside, and it's ready to put on top of our beef shepherd mixture. So I'm just going to scoop out all of the potatoes, and then I'm going to smooth it out once I have it fully put on top. Now that I have all of the potatoes mashed, what I've done is I filled my top layer of the shepherd's pie with all of the mashed potatoes, and then now I'm going to put it in the oven and bake it. It doesn't have to bake for long. Our goal is to crisp the top of the shepherd's pie and making sure that it all molds nicely. Because we pre-cooked the beef and the potatoes, some of the vegetables also need to be cooked while it's baking, but it won't need as much time as if everything was raw. So we're gonna now put it in the oven, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Now that I have my shepherd's pie completed and it's baking in the oven, I'm gonna now prepare the gravy that's gonna go on top of it once it's completed. So I saved the juices with all the spices and the broth. I've saved it in the pan that I fried up the beef in earlier on. And so now I'm gonna reheat that. And what I'm gonna do is the mushrooms that I have saved, I used half for inside the shepherd's pie, and the other half is gonna go inside of my gravy. I'm gonna heat this up at a high heat, and then I'm gonna add some flour into it to thicken the texture of the gravy. And then once that's done, I will show you what the shepherd's pie looks like completed, and then it's ready to serve. So we're just gonna heat this up, and then once our shepherd pie is ready, I'll show you what it looks like. So my gravy is now complete. I brought it to a full boil. I added some flour gradually. So now we have a nice texture. It's not too watery, it's not clumpy, and it's just perfect for our shepherd's pie. Our shepherd's pie is also complete. We had it in the oven for about 20 minutes, and what I've done is at the end, once I knew it was fully cooked, I turned the temperature up to a broil so that we can get a nice crisp on the top. So I'm gonna let it cool down a bit so that once I cut it, it's nice and firm. When it's too hot, you don't want to serve it because it'll all fall apart. So you want to let it cool down a bit and then cut it, and then you have some gravy. I'm gonna serve it with a nice side salad, and then that's a wonderful option for dinner. If you like this recipe and you want to see more like this, please subscribe to our channel. Hit that share, like, and that bell notification.